Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Today's video is regarding a comment Judge Hippler made about the knife and also the DoorDash delivery and how significant just that order was in helping the prosecution in this case and how it affected other elements of the crime. All right, so let's get started on the video right now. First of all, we'll listen to Judge Hippler here talking about how to secure dangerous weapons so that they're safe for the jury to view, or even other people in the courtroom.
It can direct you to the Marshal Service and who to talk to there. We tend to use for dangerous items like guns and knives, a display box that the item would then be locked in to display to the jury, and so that can go to the jury without fear of an accident happening. I don't think there are any guns in this case, so I'm not as worried about that in terms of those being pointed at anyone by accident. But in terms of the knife, it'll probably be in a display case.
See how it says in terms of the knife, it'll probably be in the display case. Now you can see, I don't know if they're acting the way they're acting around him because of what he said, but you see different looks on different people here.
The jury without fear of an accident happening. I don't think there are any guns in this case, so I'm not as worried about that in terms of those being pointed at anyone by accident. But in terms of the knife, it'll probably be in a display case.
See, like everybody, there's a little reactions by the prosecution team, even Kohberger. In terms of the knife, it'll probably be in a display case. Now, my original thought is that the sort of demonstrative knife they're going to use, another K-bar knife to show the jury, hey, this is what one looks like. We weren't able to find that, but the sheath was at the scene, and then go through how Kohberger tried to order a K-bar knife and then just tried to order a sheath. But interesting, if you were just going to order a sheath, wouldn't you already have a K-bar knife? And maybe he didn't throw it away or hide it. Maybe he kept it. He thought he was going to get away with it. He committed the perfect crime after all, right? Also, it does say in some of the documents that they found a knife. Now, it doesn't say it's a K-bar knife, and they were really specific about other knives. They said Smith & Wesson pocket knife. Wouldn't they have said it was a K-bar knife if they actually found a K-bar knife when they were searching? Now, maybe this is an item they found later by using cast information, etc., and they were able to retrieve and find the knife he used. And of course, the defense is not going to want to have any motions regarding the knife. They were trying to throw out the search warrant in general, just the whole thing, all the fruit from a forbidden tree. They wanted that thrown out. But they're not going to bring up that because that would really freak out the pro-burgers out there. I think most people, if they realize that the cast data led to the discovery of a K-bar knife, probably at that point wouldn't defend Kohberger anymore, except, I don't know, these people's brains are so warped at this point, it's almost like a cult, if you will. All right, so let's listen to that one more time. What do you guys think? Put it in the comments section what you think. Is Judge Hippler actually referring to the knife being the murder weapon, or is he just talking about the knife that'll be used to display what a K-bar knife looks like?
Guns and knives, a display box that the item would then be locked in to display to the jury, and so that can go to the jury without fear of an accident happening. I don't think there are any guns in this case, so I'm not as worried about that in terms of those being pointed at anyone by accident. But in terms of the knife, it'll probably be in a display case.
Let's see, they're looking at each other over here like, huh. And then Judge Hippler says, in terms of the knife, it'll probably be in a display box. Now, the knife sounds like it's talking about the murder weapon, not this knife that, might be used as a display. So that's what it does sound like. but I have to admit it, he could just be referring to a demonstrative K-bar knife that they're going to be using at trial, and they just want to make it safe. So again, let me know in the comments what you think about that. All right, so the next portion we're going to discuss here is the importance of the DoorDash delivery driver. It's very serendipitous, the movements of the Elantra and how that led to having the one shot of the Elantra which verifies that it is a 2014 to 2016 white Elantra missing its front plate. All right, now this is sort of the raw version of the files that I render out, but you can still see the movements on the screen here. So this is the white Elantra leaving, and it's leaving at 3:58:23. It drives by the 1112 King Road camera just off to the right of it, and then it turns around and then drives back behind, and then it's spotted at 3:59:04 behind 1119 King Road. And let's take a look at that using the 3D Studio Max animation. So here comes the Elantra. So right there would be the 3:58:23, just as it's passing the 1112 King Road address right there. Then the vehicle drives around, and then as it's coming around the corner here, right there, right in this spot, see that little gap in between there? The vehicle can be spotted by the camera at 1112 King Road right there. And to give you an example of that, I have a video, and here is basically what the Elantra would be doing. So picture, this is Coburger, but it's nighttime, dark outside. You can see the lights. It's not a poorly lit area where the 1122 King Road address where all the victims were killed is, there's lights there. And on this drive here, I look over. So I think this is what Coburger was doing. So picture him looking out this window over here, but he's driving really slowly because he's still monitoring the house. That's the house right over there, 1122 King Road. Right there, that house right there is the 1112 King Road that has the camera on it. But see, look at how much you can see while you're driving around at night, especially with the lights. So right here, you can see the parking lot. That's a white security vehicle inside the parking lot, or in the parking lot of 1122 King Road right there. So see how it's driving around? You can see now, I think when Coburger was driving out, he noticed the DoorDash driver pulling in. And let's take a look at this again. So when he's right here at behind 1119 King Road, I think he could see and notice that there were lights going around behind there, and he's probably driving a little bit slower here. But see, this is the DoorDash driver. I don't know what color the car was or anything like that, but notice how this is the timing it would be if the DoorDash driver pulls in at 3:59 and maybe like 35 seconds, and then there's key fob sounds. Now I actually have that in here. The key fob sounds, this is the Linda Lane, and in, I don't know if it's purple or fuchsia, whatever color this is, it says at 3:59:46, there's a key fob sound, 3:59:48 another, 3:59:51 another one. Then there is the headlights are seen coming back into the area of 1119 King Road. But let's just do this, the fuchsia DoorDash driver times. So if you look right here, it's 3:59:51, and then a key fob sound at 4 o'clock and 27 seconds. So that is 36 seconds of time, or maybe 36 seconds of time between when the last key fob sound until key fob sound again. So that's easily enough time for even him to have gone around to the back of the house, drop the package off, take the photograph, walk back around, hit the key fob, get back into the car, and start heading off right around 4 o'clock, let's say. And so that's really interesting. Watch how this would play out. So Koberger's driving up here and he sees that this car is pulling in because he's still monitoring the residence. So he sees a car pull in and he kind of can see the lights. He's in this area, you can see the lights, etc. And right down here, I think, is when he did a U-turn, because he comes right back into this area at 4 o'clock and 14 seconds. He's right there. And that means the DoorDash driver is still there because he doesn't even hit his key fob until 4 o'clock and 27 seconds and then 4 o'clock and 28 seconds. So at that time, the DoorDash driver is likely behind the residence over here. He's over here putting the delivery down, taking the photograph. He's walking out. Probably Koberger could see that the car was still there. He could see, maybe the lights were even still on in the vehicle there. He just locked the car but left it running or something like that. And then Koberger drives around. And because the DoorDash driver is still there, he's not going to pull in when the DoorDash driver is there because there would be another witness. So he drives all the way around. And he comes all the way around. He's on Taylor Avenue currently. And then look he drives around, and then this is the Ridge Road camera. And this is the only time out of the entire 40 minutes or so that the vehicle is in the area, actually 50 minutes, that the vehicle is filmed on this little portion of the road right here. When it pulls in, it drives this direction. When it gets there on the pass number 1, when it first enters the area, it comes this direction. A camera on this side of the building films it over here coming in, and then it also films it going out this direction. Another camera over here films it drive up like that. So this time, however, Koberger came in and drove by the front of the house right here. And that's the photograph that shows that Brian Koberger's white Elantra is missing a front license plate. And this is the full shot of the car. There's another shot where it's coming in from an angle and you can see that it's missing a front license plate. But as you can see, this is a white Elantra, not a lime green Elantra. And we know that because this isn't night vision, because we can see the red tail light in the image. Therefore, it's not the sort of black and white look you get with the night vision cameras. And so for all the people out there saying this is a lime green Elantra, you're just incorrect. But now I've seen them drop this portion because they were really focusing on this, because this is the key moment where it showed that it was missing a front license plate. There's another image, by the way, that has that. This is just the side shot as it's driving by in this shot. But a lot of these Koberger people were saying that that was a lime green Elantra, therefore it wasn't really Koberger's car that was missing a front license plate. But now they're having to say, okay, well then the car driving around inside the complex is the lime green Elantra. But I guess the question you'd have to ask yourself is, since the person lives there, they actually believe that a person in this complex owns a lime green Elantra, and yes, some colors, like lime green, can appear white on surveillance cameras, but they want you to believe that the person who lives in this area, who owns a lime green Elantra, for some reason kept doing all these laps all around, only to perform a murder just steps away from his home. Why wouldn't he just keep his car there and walk over there? Why would you even risk driving your car around? Hey, everybody, look, I'm driving a car. I'm driving. Why would you do that? If you live there, wouldn't you just walk over there? Koberger had to use his vehicle to get there. That's the decision he made. This person lives in this complex, so why in the hell would he be driving around? Can you answer that question, Kobergers? I never hear an answer for that one. It's always dead silent at that point. So as the vehicle drives by right here, that is this shot right there. See that? That is the shot as it's driving by. And then the vehicle comes all the way around, and it makes a massive loop all the way back around and makes its way back into the complex. Well, what's interesting, the probable cause document said it did a 3-point turn right here. Then in one of the recent documents released, it said it did a 3-point turn there, but did a U-turn here, which is not accurate. It does a 3-point turn there. And then it comes around again for the final time and then parks right there. And I think because the vehicle comes back here and does a 3-point turn, it's because of the DoorDash delivery. So keep in mind, this is right around 4:04. He had just seen the DoorDash delivery. He doesn't know what that vehicle was, but he saw it. Now he's coming in and he's observing and he's watching, and he's actually going slower on this pass at this portion than the previous 3 passes. So right here he's going a little bit slower and he's watching, looking, and then he does a 3-point turn. He comes back down, and right in this area, this is where you can see the headlights of the vehicle on this house right here. That's 1119 King Road. And then it comes down here and then does another 3-point turn because he was monitoring and checking to see what was going on at the residence, to see if there's anything happening. And then maybe at this point he sees, okay, the lights are off and it's go time now. He's not stopping. And he goes around the corner and parks his vehicle, and then we know what happens. He goes inside the house and he ends up killing all 4 victims. I think the only intended target was Madison Mogan. I think when he went into the room, Kaylee Gonzalez was there, and after he killed Madison probably pretty quickly, maybe he was going to quietly or try to kill her quietly and leave the knife sheath there as his calling card, but Kaylee woke up. Then they got into a little bit of a skirmish and he killed her, unfortunately. And then during the skirmish upstairs, it just happened to be the time where Xana Kernodle is maybe going to the kitchen regarding the order that she got from DoorDash, and she hears sounds upstairs. She goes upstairs and see the door's open. She can see a figure in there. She doesn't know exactly what happened, so she goes down the stairs and says, "Hey, there's somebody here." And maybe at that point, according to the documentary, Kohberger follows her down the stairs, goes into the room and kills her, then attacks Ethan, maybe hits an artery apparently, then he sits down in a chair, apparently, for a little bit of time, that's what they're saying, and then carved Ethan's legs. What does that mean? Does that mean he left a signature at that point? I don't know. You can't really count that as a signature because it sounds like he killed everybody with a knife. It would be a signature is something that you do in your killings that is outside, or it wasn't necessary to do the killings, but is part of how you killed. It's a signature of how you kill somebody. A calling card is something left at the scene to say, "Hey, I was here, everybody. I was here." And I think that's exactly why he left the knife sheath there. Kohberger, I believe, was a student of serial killers because of the teacher he had at DeSales University. He was an admirer of them. I think he mimicked some of Bundy's work, as I made in a video 5 days after he was arrested, that he was mimicking moving from Pennsylvania to Washington. He also picked college students like Bundy and killed people in an off-campus sorority house. Then I think maybe he even has a little Danny Rolling in there, where Danny Rolling purchased a K-bar knife and then went through sliding glass doors and killed people. And there's multiple other people that you could claim that Brian Kohberger is trying to mimic. I think he's just sort of doing all the things. Hey, look at this. I'm going to also leave a calling card. Yeah, I'll leave a K-bar knife sheath at all the scenes. His only problem was he cleaned the K-bar knife sheath. He thought he did a great job, and he did. He just missed one little spot on the bottom of the button snap on the inside. He missed it. And that's what led to the name Brian Kohberger as a tip, using forensic genetic genealogy, that then led to the collection of trash at Brian Kohberger's house, finding out that the trash was the biological parent of Brian Kohberger, and that led to a warrant to arrest Brian Kohberger, that then led to getting his DNA, and the DNA from him matched the DNA on the knife sheath perfectly. And we know that Brian Koberger drives a white 2015 Elantra, missing a front license plate, and that is the vehicle that was driving around the area at the time. And guess what? Brian Koberger's DNA was on the knife sheath. Therefore, the white Elantra driving around missing his front plate is absolutely Brian Koberger's, and it is not reasonable to believe it's anybody else's. And we also know that Brian Koberger, 2 days after the homicides, tried to purchase a K-bar knife. And then, just 9 days or so after that, or I guess 9 days after the homicides, he then tried to purchase just knife sheaths. And what kind of person buys knife sheaths? Well, somebody who lost their knife sheath. So all interesting stuff, but I just wanted to put this video out, and I want to know what you guys think. Do you think Judge Hippler was talking about the knife, or do you think he was just talking about a display knife? Put your comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. And let me know in the comment section what you think about the DoorDash delivery and how, just through pure fate, the order of the DoorDash delivery is what led to the shot of the correct year, make, and model of a white Elantra missing a front license plate. All right, so thank you all very much for watching. Again, leave a comment in the comment section. If you could please share the video, I would really appreciate it. And again, hit that like button on the way out the door. Thanks for watching, and as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.